through all of these. And then, yes, so module 1 test review. So number 1 and 2 are using the same picture. It's vocabulary. So it says, use the diagram for questions 1 and question 2. Name a point non-coplanar. So non means not, and coplanar means to be on the same plane. So this is not on the same plane. So you have a flat surface and you have a flat surface. They cannot be on the same plane as point G. So G is here. You need some point not on the same plane as G. So G is on a plane Q. So P is right here. That's on the same plane. So that will not work. H is here. That is on the same plane. So that will not work. L is right here. That's still on the same plane. So that's not going to work. C, where's C? C is over here. So C is right here. That is the only one that's on a different plane. That is on plane R, because R represents this plane. Q represents this plane. So C would be the answer. For number 2 says you lines P and Q intersect at what point? So if I look at line P is here. Line Q is a different one. Line Q is right here. It's a little short line, but it's right there. So you want to know where those 2 lines intersect at. So the only part that they actually cross at is right here, which is H. So B would be the correct answer for that. Okay, number 3 says, what is the length of AZ? Use the following information. It says A is between Y and Z, YA is 24, AZ is 15X, YZ is 189. So this is a lot of information. I would, when in doubt, draw it out. So it tells me A to Z. So I'm gonna have a line. I'm gonna just draw it over here. I'll draw it right here. So I have A and Z. So this is A, and this is Z. And then it says, this is the key part. It says A is between Y and Z. So this is a little strange because you have A, Z, and a lot of people want to put Y in the middle, but A is between Y and Z. So Y, I'm going to extend this line a little bit. Y is actually over here. A has to be between Y and Z. And then I'm going to put my numbers on my picture. So A is in the middle between them. So Y to A is 24. A to Z is 15X. And then it says the last part is Y to Z. This whole thing is 189. So this is segment addition postulate. So I forgot my X. This is a segment addition postulate. So this is where we take little piece, we add other little piece, and we equal it to the whole thing, whole distance. So it's going to make an algebra equation. So I'm going to do it off the side. So I have 24 as my small piece. So I have 24. I am adding the other small piece, which is 15X. And I'm equaling it to the total. The total length of the line, they tell me, is 189. So this is an algebra 1 equation. I am drawing my line in my problem, and I'm solving this for X. So I'm going to draw a line. 15X cannot move over to 189 because it has an X. I have to move my number over to my number. So I have to move the 24. 24 is positive, so I'm going to subtract 24 to both sides. It out. If 15X equals 189 minus 24 is 165. And then the last step is division. So I divide by 15, divide by 15. So X equals 11. A lot of people will stop here and just say that the answer is 11 because I want to know the length of AZ. AZ is 15X. So I have to plug it back into my equation. So I have to multiply by I'm going to do it over here. So AZ is 15x. I'm using substitution to plug it back in. So I'm doing 15 multiplied by x, which we found to be 11. 15 times 11 15 times 11 is 165. So this length is 165. I also just thought about an easier way to do this. So you could, if the whole thing's 189 and this is 24, you could just subtract these and you get 165. So that will also give you that. That's way easier. But anyways, so 4 says use the following information to find x. So it gives me b is between a and c. So I should draw this out. When in doubt, let's draw it out. So b is between a and c. So I'm going to draw a picture. I have a, I have c, b is between a and c. So b is here. A to b is 4x plus 7. So 4x plus 7 goes here. B to C is 20x minus 9. And it says AB is congruent to BC. So that says that this piece is the same as this piece. They are congruent. So anytime it says congruent, they are equal to each other. So we're going to do 4x plus 7 equals 20x minus 9. And then I'm going to draw my line. You can do one of two things. You can either subtract 7 to both sides. I'm going to get rid of the minus sign instead. I'm going to add 9 because get rid of that negative. So 4x plus 7 plus 9 gives me 16. And then I'm going to move my 4x. 4x is positive, so I'm going to minus it to both sides. So 16 equals 16x. We have to divide by x, so divide by 16. X equals 1. So this says find the value of x, so x is 1. It doesn't have you plug it back in. For number 5, this is like really ugly. We need to figure out the missing step to bisect a line segment. So when we're bisecting a line segment, that's what we did today. It looks like this. So we are bisecting a line segment. So these are your steps right here. Basically, we start with a line segment. We open it more than half the distance and we draw half a circle, making our arc marks. We move our compass to the other side and we make half a circle, making our arc marks. Where they intersect at, we make points and we connect our points to make our perpendicular bisector. So it splits it in half and it also makes a 90-degree angle. So using all these words, we're going to have to read and figure out what our missing step is for step 2. So it says, when bisecting a line segment, which step is missing below? 1 says place the compass at one endpoint of the line segment. So once I place the compass at one end, when I place the compass at one end, what am I doing next? The next step, it says place a point on each arc. Keeping the same compass width, draw arcs from other endpoints of the segment. Open the compass more than half the length of the line segment. Open the compass less than halfway. We're never doing less than halfway. That's not right. It would be C. We are opening it more than half the distance. So to make these arc marks, I have to open it more than half the length, so that way I can have an arc mark here and then I can swing it so they intersect. If you have it less, they will not intersect. So this is C. For number 6, it says find the coordinates of point C on AB such that the ratio of A to C and C to B is 4:5. So I'm going to use my formula and I'm going to make a little line. So it says AB, because we got to figure out our fraction. C is somewhere in the middle. And then it tells me the ratio. A to C is 4. It also says C to B is 5. So you need to figure out, is your fraction 4/5, or do I need to add it together? We always need part to whole. So in this case, we're going to add them together. So our K is going to be 4/9. So our formula technically is K multiplied by x2 minus x1, and we add where we started. So looking at my graph, I'm going to write out A. A is at -4, -6. B is where I'm going. B is at 5, 6. This is x1, y1. This is x2, y2. So K we said is 4/9 because we have to add them together. So K is 4/9. And I am multiplying by x2, which is 5, and I am minusing -4. Remember, you could just type this into Desmos and it gives you the answer. Plus x1, which is -4. When you type this into Desmos, you should get 0 for x. We do the same thing for y. So the only thing is it's y2 minus y1, and then you're adding y1. K is still in the front. You just have to do the y values. So we're going to do 4/9. And we're doing y2, which is 6. And we are minusing y1, which is -6. And I'm adding where I started, which is adding -6 in the back. So the only thing is when you type this into Desmos, let me pull it up. You get a decimal, which is fine. You need to know how to like convert your fractions to decimals. So over here, boop, 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 this is what you get. And you're like, well, that's weird because I had fractions. A fraction is just fancy division. So obviously it's not 4, it's not 2. X is 0. So it's you should know that it's B because X is 0. But if you're confused at which one this is, we get -0.6 repeating. So if you're not sure which decimal that would make, you could test these fractions. If I put 2 divided by 3 in my calculator, so let me clear this all out. If I put -2 divided by 3, that gets me the same decimal. So this decimal is the same as -0.6 repeating. If I want to check -1/3 just to be safe, I type this in -1/3. That gives me the same decimal as -0.3 repeating. So obviously this is 0.6, this is X, this is Y, so they come together to make point B. And then let's go to the next one. Next one says, Nate wants to visit his friend Mark before going to the park. Nate's house is located at -4.4, while the park is located at 8.6. Find the location of Mark's house if it is halfway between Nate's house and the park. Because it's halfway, this is another way to say midpoint. It's in the middle between their two houses. So we're going to call this one x1, y1. This can be x2, y2. It doesn't really matter which direction you're walking. Either way, it's in the middle. So midpoint formula, we're going to use this formula. We're going to take the x's, we're going to add them. We're going to divide by 2. And take the y's, we're going to add them, divide by 2. So if I take my x's, I have -4 and 8. So I have -4 plus 8, and I'm dividing by 2. If I use Desmos, type this in because this is the calculator you get on the test anyways. -4 plus 8 over 2. You get 2. I'm going to do the same thing for the y values. 4 plus 6. So 4 plus 6 divided by 2. Type it into your calculator. Four plus 6 is 10. Divided by 2 is 5. So your coordinate is 2, 5. For number 8, it says, suppose R is the midpoint. Midpoint means the middle of PS. PR is 3x minus 4. RS is 5x minus 26. We need to find PS. So I need to figure out how much this whole length is. To do so, I'm going to set these equal to each other because they are congruent to each other. So I'm doing 3x minus 4 equals 5x minus 26. I'm going to draw my line in the middle because they're equal to each other. You can do one of two things. You can add 4 to the 26, or you can add 26 to the 4. Because 26 is bigger and it's negative, I'm going to move the 26. It does not matter which one you move. So I'm going to add 26. So I have 3x. -4 plus 26 is not 30. It's positive 22. Equals 5x. I need to move my 3x now, so I'm going to subtract it because it's positive. (22) equals 2x. And then I'm going to divide by 2. X equals 11. Now that I have 11, I have to substitute it back in because I need to find the total length. So I'm going to plug it in. You're doing 3 times 11 minus 4. If I type that into Desmos, it'll do it for me. 3 times 11 minus 4. Three times 11 is 33. Minus 4 is 29. So this is 29. You could also plug it in here. 5 times 11 minus 26. Or you can think that they are the same length because it's a midpoint. So I'm going to get the same answer because it's in the middle and they're the same length. But if you're not sure, let's just plug it in. You still get 29. So if this is 29 and this is 29, I'm going to take 29 and I'm going to add it twice because there are two 29s. So that makes 58 as my total. 9 is a constructions problem. And it wants to know the order in which copying AB. So it says the steps for copying AB using a compass and a straight edge are given. Which sequence has the steps in the correct order? So you are copying a segment. Where's copying a segment? That's this. We have to figure out what the steps are to copy a segment. So they're rearranged. Really, you just need to focus on the first one because if you look, you have 4, 4, 3, 1, and then like process of elimination. So the first thing it says is place the point of the compass at A and adjust the compass to the pencil at B. That's not right. Draw a point at the intersection of the line and the arc, label it point M. That's not correct. And also, they're not even using A prime and B prime. They're saying A, B matches LM. So like they're saying you already have A, B. Instead of calling it A prime, they're calling the second one L. So like they're saying this is L instead. And then you would draw your ray. And then this is where you would make your arc mark, and then you would bring it down, and then this would be M. So AB is congruent to LM. That is a congruency statement. That would be like the last step because you're saying that they're congruent. Draw a line and point L on the line. Without adjusting the compass, place the point at L and draw an arc that intersects the line that contains point L. So the first step that you need to do is you're drawing the original ray and you're putting a point and you're calling it L, which is the beginning one. So this would be step 1. So step 1 is 4. So we're down to only A and B. C and D are out. So we need to decide, after we draw the ray, what is the next step? Is it step 5 or is it step 1? Step 5 says, without adjusting the compass, place the point on L and draw an arc that intersects the line that contains point L. 1 says, place the point of the compass at A and adjust the compass to the pencil at B, which is what you would do. You would put your compass here and you would adjust to B to find that length. So this would be step 2. So your correct answer would be B. I'm assuming the district is going to make this problem exactly the same because it's so wordy. So I would remember the order of step 1 and step 2 for the test, because the wording that they use is very weird on this problem. Just so you know, I can't see the test, but I would assume that's what they're going to do. For number 10, it says J is the midpoint of GH. So GH is my line. J is the midpoint. And it says J is located at 4, -4. H is located at 10, -2. Where are the coordinates of G? So what we need to do is we need to figure out where G is at. So that's going to be my X and my Y. We're technically using midpoint formula, but it's in a weird way. So this is like the harder midpoint problem. So this is my formula. I'm taking my X and I'm adding my other X at the end. So I'm doing X plus 10. The formula says I have to divide by 2, but I know where it should equal in the end. It has to equal the middle number, which is 4. All the X's go together. We're going to make the same equation for our Y's. We're using Y. We're adding where we ended, which is -2. We're dividing by 2, and we're equaling it to -4. So we need to solve these algebra equations. You cannot just plug this into Desmos. So to get rid of the 2, I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. So I multiplied by 2. Cross it out. Multiply this side by 2. So X plus 10 equals 4 times 2 is 8. Now I need to solve for X. So I'm minus 10 to both sides. So X equals -2. Over here, I do the same thing. I multiply both sides by 2. Cross it out, move it to the other side. So I have Y minus 2, because when you're adding a negative, it's really just minus, equals -8. And I have to solve for Y, so I add 2. So Y equals -6. So my coordinate is -2, -6. 11 is weighted average. 11 says the points A, B, and C are on the number line. Oh my gosh, they gave you 3 points. Okay, so it says you have weights 2, 1, and 1 respectively. What are the average weights of points A, B, and C? Gosh darn it. So A is the first weight. So we have weight 1, which is 2. B is going to be 1. This one is going to be 2, which is 1. And then you have a third one, which is going to be weight 3, which is 1. You also need to include your locations. So we're going to call this one X1. That's A, which is at 2. We have X2, which is at B, which is 4. And X3, which is 7. So when we did this, we only used 2 points. The formula is exactly the same. You just have an extra little section. So we're doing weight times location and weight times location and weight times location. So this is my formula that we're using. But instead of only 2 points, we're going to have a third point. So we're going to say plus, and then we're going to have more plus weight 3. So we're going to do it 3 times. So using our formula, we're doing weight, which is 2. I'm going to have the space. I'm going to use the space down here. We're doing weight, which is 2. And I'm multiplying by the location, which is 2. I'm adding weight, which is 1. And I'm multiplying by location, which is 4. This is where we did in class. We only did it with 2 points. This is giving you a third. So plus weight, which is 1, times location, which is 7. And I'm dividing by the weights all added together. So 2 plus 1 plus 1. So if I type this all into Desmos, you should get 3.75. So I'm going to write the formula out so that way you have it. But it's x1, or it's weight 1 times x1 plus weight 2 times x2 plus weight 3 times x3. And you're divided by all the weights added together because they give you an extra point. So you should get 3.75 as your weight. The 3.75. Part B says, would the weighted average remain the same, increase, decrease if the weight of points A, B, and C are all 2? So they want to know what would happen if I change the weights to 2. So what I'm going to do is in my formula, I'm going to change all the weights, which are the front number, all to 2. So I'm going to change them all to 2. So that one's already 2. So that's going to stay as a 2. I'm going to change the weight from 1 and 1 to 2. I also need to change the denominator to 2 and 2. So I'm going to change it literally in the calculator. All my weights are changing to a 2. So in Desmos, I could just literally type it. 2. 2. 2. 2. So in this case, if I change it to 2, my weighted average changes to 4. I think it says 4.3. What's it say? Yeah, 4.3 repeating. So if it was 3.75 and now it's 4.3, that increased because it went up. The last question wants to know which segments are congruent to each other. So this one's pretty easy. You want to know which segments are congruent to each other. It says, using the number line to answer the question, which 2 line segments are congruent? So it says AB and CD. AB has 1, 2, 3. So AB is 3. They want to know, is that the same as AC? A to C is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 and 5 do not match. So A is out. Okay, so AC, we already found AC. AC is 5. Does that match B to D? B to D is 1, 2, 3. That does not match. A to B is 1, 2, 3. To BD, BD, 1, 2, 3. So that one matches. Let's just check the last one just because. AB is 1, 2, 3. A, C to D is only one, so that does not match. So the rest of them do not match. You need two congruent pieces, which is C. That was kind of a long video because I explained every single problem, so.